What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Import Modify. I got some more items in for the fuel pressure regulator assembly so we can finish that bad boy off. We're going to be updating the alternator to a bigger, better one, and we're going to continue on getting everything put back together on the front end of this car so we can get to the intercooler piping, and also we're going to be wiring in the Ep.80 SAFC2. Stay tuned. So we're going to be upgrading the alternator on the Z31, and how you do that basically is you get an alternator off of a 90 to 91 Nissan Maxima, and the connections on the back are pretty much the same as the Z31. Same plug outlet, same battery post terminal, and then I believe that's a ground back there. So simple, straight bolt on. The bracket should fit just fine on there, and then your adjuster goes on the bottom right there. The only thing I'm questioning is the size of this pulley here, because if you notice the pulley's bigger on that one. But I'm going to put it on and see if I can get the belt to get tight on this pulley, because it is a nice new pulley. If I can't, then I'm going to swap the pulleys over. But basically, that's all you have to do in order to upgrade your alternator from a 70 amp to a 90 amp. And I thought that was a cool little addition, so I went ahead and went to the parts store and bought me one so I can upgrade the car as well with the charging system. And another problem I was running into was when I looked down at the knock sensor, it's in this little crevice down on the side of the block. It had a connector on it, but there was no wire connected to it. So I took my ohm meter out and I got busy ohming stuff, and I ended up finding the connection from the ECU, and turns out that this thing from the pinout, it is the knock sensor wire. So I'm going to solder in a wire to this connector here so that we can have the proper connection for a knock sensor, because this is a boosted application. You want to have a knock sensor to monitor your knocking and whatnot whenever you're going to be adjusting the fuel ratios. So we're going to take care of that before I can get the whole assembly in for the alternator. And also I got a couple other items here for the fuel pressure regulator system to finish it all off. And I was running into a problem on the previous episode with the Y connector, and we got to feed a single line to these two lines right here. And what I came up with here is I found this cool little nylon Y fuel connector, and it's going to work pretty much perfect. And I also bought me a 90-degree connection for the fuel pressure regulator itself. So basically, if you look at the fuel rail here, just going to run some hoses to this, and then from this Y connection to the feed line that goes to the filter, and that's going to give me a nice clean connection on that. And this right here, if you notice the bend in the hose, I'm not a fan of that at all, so I'm going to go ahead and replace it with this, and it'll give me a straight shot from there to the return line. And I also was running the hose all the way back to the fuel rail there. Now from the factory it comes with the hard line. I went ahead and I cleaned it up and painted it, so we're going to be installing this hard line in for the return line, and that basically will clean up the whole fuel system. And from there we'll be able to finish putting on the power steering pump and everything, and then we'll be set to put the radiator back in with the fan. And then from there I'm going to have to find hoses that's going to work with the radiator. But with all that in place, I'll be able to start working on the piping and routing and everything for the turbo for the intercooler. And also I'm going to be finishing off the throttle body here and painting it and putting it on. I took care of a couple of the feed lines for the coolant. I chopped those off and everything to make it a nice cleaner look, because I'm not going to be using that. I deleted all that stuff, so got my work cut out here, and tedious stuff again. So it's going to be time consuming. I'll try to make my content as best as I can so you guys can enjoy the ride. Let's get it started. All right, so I got the power steering pump mounted up loosely, and I started wiring up the alternator, and I had to extend the ground from there to there, and also I repaired the wiring here all the way up to the knock sensor. Let's see if you guys can see that, but it goes up there to the knock sensor, so that's good. I got the battery posts tightened down, and the clip, like I stated before, clips right into the Maxima alternator. So everything on this is good, and we're good to go to mount this up. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this up, and we will be done on the alternator. All right, so one of the things I noticed whenever I was installing the bracket is this guide hole right here is going to have to be relieved up on the top in order for it to have the proper clearance for the bolt to be able to go through, because that is just slightly in the way of the hole. So this needs to be relieved, and it should all work out in the end. Now the belt is too big for this pulley, so I went ahead and zip tied it where it should be to make a nice proper fit with it being in the center here. So I'll make a run to the parts house and get a belt that's going to be the right size to make it all work in the end, and it should work out fine. So I'm going to wrap it up for the night, and I'll be back in the morning, and I'll show you guys what it looks like in the end, and we will continue on from there with connecting the SAFC2. Alright guys, so we're definitely getting closer to getting this thing done, and the next thing I got to do is solder in some wires to this pigtail right here, because when I ordered the SAFC2 it didn't come with the pigtail, and I cannot find one online. So I'm just going to trim back the plastic on this and solder wire straight to the pin so that I can extend the cable and make the connections that I need to the 300, and we'll get it all in there into the wiring, and then after that this thing will be ready to go. And once we are done with the rest of the car, I'll be able to input the parameters in order to give this thing its first start. So making good progress. So don't have the pigtail for the other half of this wiring harness right here, so what I did was I cut it back to expose the pins, and then I soldered the wires straight onto the pins. Now I have extended wires right here to work with to make my connections to the ECU down there, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And I went ahead and wrote down all the connections and the pinout on the ECU, so I'm set on this. I'm going to go ahead and integrate this cable right here into the ECU wiring, and then after that this thing will be all wired up and ready to go. So I got everything wired in now on the 8-pexy unit, and now I don't really like doing this really to the wiring, but it's very hard to splice these wires into the little bit of room I have down there. So I use these little splice connectors on that, and then certain wires I soldered in for the ground, and the other one I soldered in as well is the connection for the mass airflow meter wires that go to it. So I will leave a link in the description for where I found the pinout and the information to wire this up. It will be in the description for you guys. I'm not going to go over it too much in detail because it gets very monotonous, but here's the unit here. I haven't figured out exactly where I'm going to mount it at, and somewhere where I can access it. Maybe right here would be a good spot for it. I don't know yet, but it's in there for the most part. And there are a couple wires left. Now this, I believe, is going to be for the TPS. I have yet to figure out how I'm going to do my TPS, but it's not an issue. It will work without the TPS signal, but I will end up figuring that out. So we are steps close to getting this thing done. Little by little, we're knocking it out, and I am taking on, more work, because honestly, These next couple episodes are going to be dedicated to 2 cars that I picked up. I'm going to have an episode per car, and I'll show you guys what I got, and we have more, you know, cool content that's going to come your way with that. But my buddy Jeff's here, and I don't want to turn the camera because I got the cars parked right there. I don't want to show y'all what I got just yet. But we're going to go take his 300ZX for a cruise and just feel some twin turbo power. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break from the Z31 because my buddy Jeffrey showed up, and he's a Z-car fan like me. Now Jeffrey and I, we go back in the day. We were in the same car club together and whatnot, and we share a lot of common passion with the Z-cars. And he hit me up a while back. He had picked up a white twin turbo, and he was all stoked about it. He showed up to come help me move some things around in the shop, and lo and behold, he bought him yet another twin turbo Z car. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what it looks real quick. Very nice, very clean. Now Jeffrey, what year is this?
It's a 1990 300ZX twin turbo. It's got a 5-speed. It's about 78,000 miles on it.
78,000?
78,000.
Wow, that's really low mileage for a 90, man.
Yeah, mostly stock for the most part. It's got a B&B exhaust and pop chargers. Other than that, nothing's been done, not even to the ECU.
Nice. And that, I don't know if y'all can see very well through the camera. It looks real good from what I can see in the camera, but it is very clean. The paint, is this original paint, or has it been repainted? Do you know?
I think everything is original from when I talked to the owner. The only part that I believe has been repainted is the spoiler.
Oh, okay, so the spoiler's just been repainted?
Yeah, other than that, I think all the paint's original on it.
Cool, man. It is a stick shift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way to go. Wow, look at the interior, guys. Jeff, this is a really clean car, dude.
Yeah, I mean, everything was pretty much mint. The only thing I gotta work out is I think the front speaker on the radio's blown and the clock doesn't work. Other than that, I don't really have too much to do to this car.
It's got the factory Bose tape deck. Gotta love it, man. 90s all the way. Wow. And usually this carpet kind of like trim, usually this stuff goes to shit over the years, and it looks really, really good. I mean, especially right underneath here, it's really, really clean. It looks new.
Yeah, the guy bought it from, he babied it, and he told me the guy that had it before him babied it. So
you can tell, man. I mean, it is beautiful. You mind if I pop the hood?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Let's check it out. Your glasses, buddy. Oh man, I love Z cars, dude.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this is my first time actually driving one, and I was like, man, this is everything I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, because he bought his white one and it had some problems, and he has not yet figured them out. And I was gonna step in and help him, and then lo and behold, he shows up with another Z32. So nice, beautiful interior in this thing. It's like a new car. That's so cool.
Yeah, the guy that had it, he babied this car because this was his life. He was another Z32 enthusiast, and this was his second one. And it had one, and I used that to listen to stuff for a long time.
Nice. Yeah, that pulls pretty good, man. You can definitely tell the limitations of the small little turbos, though.
Yeah, that was second gear.
Second gear pull. It hits pretty good, though. I mean, it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I got a couple things I got to do. I need to replace the shifter bushing. The owner that I bought it from, he gave me the part. It's a brass shifter bushing to replace the old plastic ones. I just hadn't put it in yet.
Okay, yeah,
So
I remember that. Yeah.
But it's not too bad.
Give it some gas, Jeff. It gets up pretty good, man. Feels like you got like a flat spot on your tire or something.
I might have one. I haven't checked the pressure since I bought it.
It gets up pretty good, guys, for it being a 1990 model. It's been quite a few years since I've ridden or driven a twin turbo 300ZX, and it's a pretty cool throwback. Now, those of y'all watching my channel know that I'm doing an RB25 swap on my 300Z, and the reason for that is just simplicity of being able to work on the car, because in the engine bay of these cars, it is a complete, how can I put it? It's so compact in there.
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. I mean, you cannot work on the side of it at all. You either work on the top or the bottom, and you know, that's what scares a lot of people from, you know, keeping these cars and whatnot. And those that are true enthusiasts on a car, they keep them because they have, you know, they know exactly how to work on them from owning them all those years. So the true enthusiasts for the twin turbos, you know, they tend to you know their way around a lot of that stuff. So I've had one a long time ago, and honestly, that's one of the reasons I got rid of mine, was because I was running into a lot of problems, vacuum lines, injectors, and all those things. And those of y'all that know what I'm talking about, it's just a real pain. You know, I ended up fixing those things before I sold the car, but it's what scared me from keeping the car. And now that I have my 300ZX, I said, well, I'd like to have a 300ZX. Oh, here we go. Traffic. I'd like to have a 300ZX chassis because the body line on these cars are timeless. And, you know, having a straight 6 fit inside of it would allow a lot of simplicity of being able to work and maintain the car. Now I'm keeping the roots true on my car by throwing an RB25 in the engine bay because it's staying true to the family. I wish I can afford an RB26, but it is what it is. You can still make good power out of the 25, and you know, at least you'll be able to shine a little bit being different standing out from the crowd. But yeah, thanks a lot for taking me on the spin, Jeff. I enjoyed it, man. It's a really cool car, and I'm kind of jealous. Hey, so Jeff started a YouTube channel as well. What's your YouTube channel?
It's called Garage Antics. I just started, so I don't have the little shortened name. So I'll get you to put it on the, put it on your display.
I'll leave a link in the description of his channel. He just started it, and I'm gonna tell you right now, YouTube ain't kind, man. been doing videos. It's hard to get a lot of subscribers and get good content, but anyway. All right, guys, that's it. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and call it on this episode. We'll get back to the Z31, get this thing pretty much buttoned up and done. We are very close to getting it done. Now we can move on to the intercooler piping and everything else and get it all together. And that pretty much is all. It's pretty much the only big hurdle I have left is finishing off the intercooler and getting the right hoses for the radiator. Then we'll be able to you know, input the parameters in the car for the Ep.80, see how well that works, crank it for the first time, and take it on some rips and see how much of a difference that turbo setup makes. And the next couple episodes after this episode, I'm going to change things up a little bit because I actually bought me 2 cars. You know, since then I haven't showed you guys yet, and one I know I'll get a lot of love for, the other I'll probably get a lot of why you buy that, but you know, I kind of give you my reasons why I buy it. But the next couple episodes will be about the cars that I got, so stay tuned for that. And I thank you guys for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing. subscribing. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you guys on the next episode.